Hi, everybody. Welcome to Telling the Story with Pixels, where we talk about what it really takes to communicate with clarity and purpose in today's digital world. Now, today's episode is going to feel a little bit different because we are diving into a very real transition that's affecting every Salvation Army division and local units across the country. I'm talking about the move from the Symphony website platform to something new called Zesty. But here's the thing. This isn't just about websites. It's about your story, and it's about how you connect with your community. And it's about how we as a movement show up digitally in Q1, our most important season of the year. So if you're a core officer, a communications director, development director, or just someone that's trying to juggle 10 different hats in your unit, you are not alone. And this episode is for you. Let's jump in. Now, Nick, in our meetings, we get a lot of questions. It's like, what are we doing and how are we going to do this? And when I say our meetings, it's our one-on-one meetings with all G Labs clients. Now, whatever we are doing is going to affect a lot of websites. Can you walk me through a little bit of what we are doing as a team to ensure we create the best possible transition to this new platform?
Yeah. So one thing that we're doing, first of all, something that the territory has helped us with and has helped everybody with is the territory created this great spreadsheet system where you can go in, see all of the pages that you had on Symphony, and then mark whether you want to transfer them over to Zesty or not, what the priority level is, what the difficulty level is, and that just really helps us to get organized. So that's the first thing that we've already done, is really just get organized, see which pages we actually want to transfer, and then those in terms of priority, high priority, medium priority, low priority. So we've already gone in and done that. And then the next thing that we're doing now is we're working on transferring the divisional sites. And that's been the first step that the territory has wanted us to do, is transfer those divisional sites. So that's all of those custom pages need to be transferred over, any marketing pages you have, any landing pages, and those custom informational pages you have, like the local leadership, maybe local ways to give, things like that.
Now, from the technical standpoint, though, what are the challenges that we are facing, if any?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge that we face, that really a lot of the divisions are facing as well, is Zesty is not the same type of website builder that Symphony was. So Zesty is going to be a lot more focused on custom HTML when it comes to those custom pages, because the way it works is on a custom page, you have a top banner and then you have an HTML section. Now, that does give us the ability to do more custom HTML content in some ways, but in other ways, you don't have as much freedom with the visual editor. So it's kind of that trade-off, and it's just a different type of web builder where you're going to have more custom HTML. The territory has sent us some nice code options that you're able to do some copy-paste coding. And then our team is also, kind of brushing up a little bit more on our HTML skills and making sure that we're not losing any of the visual content or the text content from the old sites.
Got it. What is our process in terms of how are we transferring a landing page? What is step one, step two? Because at this point, I'm also trying to calculate time. Like what are the intricacies of these transfers so we can calculate effort?
Yeah, so I'll walk you through kind of our whole process just so you can kind of understand all of that. So the first step is we go to the old landing page. So again, that's based on that spreadsheet. Look at those high priority ones. Let's go to that first landing page. The first thing we do is download all of the images. And I recommend separating out your images by folders by page, so that way you know exactly which page your images belong to. From there, we copy and paste all of the text on that page into a document, so we have it all laid out. And then we go over to the Zesty side, create that page, upload the banner, add the title in. One very important thing with Zesty is make sure that the first thing you do after you upload that banner is in the top right, you click create item, and that saves that page. Because if you do all the work to create this page without clicking that button and your internet goes out or your page refreshes, you lose all that work. So after that is done, then we'll paste all the content into the page and then go into the HTML editor. And from there, it's just a matter of, re-adding in any columns using the codes that THQ has sent us, and then adding in images using background images and HTML, or just adding in the images into the columns. And then finally, you can go in and preview that page, make sure everything looks good. Again, it's a lot of HTML, so you're going to have to do some HTML touch-ups and tweaks. And then we can take a look at the page. If it all looks good, then that page is transferred. Most of the text-based pages that you had in Symfony should transfer over pretty easily just by, going to that page, highlighting everything, copy and paste. The only time there's going to be a little bit more of those intricacies are when you have a lot of images on a page.
Okay, all right. So the transfer basically is going to be a lot of copy and pasting, is what I'm hearing.
If you're doing a direct transfer of the same content, yes, just because this Zesty builder does allow you to copy and paste the formatting already of that text. So, if you have a lot of pages that are text-based that aren't image heavy, then you can usually directly copy and paste that text over into the text box in Symfony, and that will keep its formatting for the most part. Again, the only case that's not true is if you have like custom columns in Symfony or if you have images in Symfony.
Got it. Vanessa, you have any questions from the communication standpoint?
I think my first question would be, we've written a lot of blog posts. Would those blog posts be transferred? And how would SEO work for not just blog posts, but landing pages where we've customized like copy?
Yeah. So one thing webmasters will notice when they go into Zesty is that the territory has already transferred over a majority of their blog posts, I believe up to a certain date. And I've talked to them and they are open to transferring a few more of those blog posts up to update that. So most of your blog posts that are kind of before 2025, I know have been transferred over already. And so there are a few who might have to transfer over, which is probably good practice to get used to the blog post system. But yes, for the most part, those blog posts have been transferred already, and there may just be a few here and there, depending on how often you post blog posts that need to be transferred over.
So to post those blog posts on Zesty originally, right, moving forward, would I have to learn HTML?
It depends. For the most part, the blog posts are fairly basic, especially the text-based ones. In that case, you can just type out your blog post or use the built-in tool to add in some images and design. If you do have more custom designed blog posts, then yes, you would need to know a little bit of HTML to do things like add in background colors and sections into your blog post. But if you're just talking about a basic text blog post with a few images, then no, you wouldn't need HTML. There is a text-based editor for that.
Awesome. My other question would be like dimensions for like web banners, best practices for the images on all the different like picture modules I've seen on Zesty sites.
Yeah. So for those image banners, you'll notice that on the homepage, your image banner is actually a dynamic sizing banner. So that means you have one image that gets resized depending on whether you're on mobile, depending on your desktop, tablet, depending on your screen size, that will resize. I don't have them pulled up right now, but THQ has actually created a really helpful guide on what those look like, on what the dimensions are. What we found is the best dimension to work with on your Photoshop and everything is square. So I do 1920 by 1920, so that's full screen size on a 1080p screen, but a little bit longer. That gives you some nice extra resolution to work with without making it too big. And then what you really want to make sure happens is that your subject in that image is centered. Because what that does is it makes sure that your subject shows up both on the desktop and the mobile view. Because the desktop will give you that square view, but the mobile view is going to crop it vertical. The other thing is we don't want text on our images or designs like that. The way Zesty works is it's very friendly towards specifically image-based content, not graphics-based content for these types of banners, because it will automatically put an overlay on your image and then text over that. So what that means is it's a very photography friendly platform. Make sure your subject is centered. And then if you have a good title and subtitle, when you type that in, it will overlay over the image automatically with a nice overlay. So that way you don't have to worry about editing that photo with an overlay first.
Okay, so that is helpful to me from the communication standpoint. Those questions that Vanessa asked are similar to the questions I had. Now I'm going to try to wear a different hat right now. What if I am a development director and I'm in charge, obviously, of Q1 is super important for us, or even a commander, a core officer, or area commander, and why not? I think the questions I would have is, how will this affect my Q1, you think?
Yeah, the main thing is your home screen is going to look a lot different on your website. And I know that's where a lot of times our main communications are for Q1, especially if you're using things like we use Christmas modules, is what we call them. And what that means is those are just going to look a little bit different. And in Zesty specifically, what we recommend doing in Q1 is having your main seasonal asks and maybe information on the home banner. And then in Zesty, you have 2 modules on the side of the home banner that you can add stuff to. So in Angel Tree season for sign up season, you're going to have your Angel Tree sign up as your main banner, but then you might also want to have your Red Kettle signups to sign up to Ring. And then below that, maybe you have just a donate button. Now, what that does is it allows you to have all 3 of your call to actions above the fold on your website. And then you still have those 3 call to action buttons in almost a Christmas module type way. The limitations there will be we don't have the ability to add another Christmas module below that like we used to in Symfony. So that's the trade-off there, but that's what we recommend for Q1. The other thing is if you have specific landing pages for Q1 that you need, so let's say you have a specific volunteer page or a specific registration page for Angel Tree, we would recommend transferring those as high priority items. So making sure that if you're transferring your website right now, that's at the top of your priorities to be ready for Q1, and not doing as much work on the Symfony side if those pages aren't building those in Symfony, but having them ready to go in Zesty. So that way, when that website does transition, they're already ready to go, and you have all of your content.
Got it, though. And trying to wear the same hat, but in the past, we have transferred other websites. How do we have a plan for redirects so we can avoid as much as we can the drop on search engine optimization?
Yes, and that was actually the first thing that we asked the territory about was we first are going to go in and make sure that all of your pages have all the correct links on the spreadsheet that THQ sent us. And then from there in the spreadsheet, we're able to add in the new URLs of that page. And so what that means is actually that once the website transfers, if all of those are entered incorrectly, then those URLs will all automatically be redirected to their new Zesty URLs. So that's why one of the reasons why it's really important to fill out that spreadsheet that THQ sent, especially for the divisions right now are working on that. So once your website is transferred, then those URLs will automatically be redirected to the new platform and to the new page on that platform.
Got it. I know this might feel like a test at college or something, but I have a few more questions. And one of those is like the effort that these will take. Initially, it was my understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it was my understanding that these websites will be transferred completely from one platform to the other. And I learned a couple of weeks ago that no, we as an army, we have to actually transfer the website, which obviously is going to increase the workload for anybody in the field over the summer, right? But how I know that we are just starting this process at GLab, and how much or how long do you think it will take a single page, a landing page, to be transferred?
Yeah, in my experience, and I'm fairly familiar with HTML, so I do know how to transfer those pages into the HTML. The more complex pages, so if you've seen GLab's pages that are like the Angel Tree landing pages we create, or the Red Kettle sign up landing pages, or most recently we had Summer Camp landing pages, those more complex ones can take an hour, maybe up to an hour and a half if you're really designing. Whereas the more simple text-based pages can take like 20 to 30 minutes just to make sure your formatting is right when you copy paste it over. One of the big things is re-uploading all your images. But then once you have all of your images uploaded and you have all your content done, then it gets a little bit faster, especially if you're reusing some images across the site.
Okay. That gives me a little bit of an idea how long will it take to transfer each website, especially for units like a whole division when you have 24 or 30 different websites to be transferred. Just for me to understand the timeline for the transfer per se, like territory wide so far, who's going to go first, and what's the plan for Q1?
Yeah, so the timeline that we've heard is first, of course, you have NHQ and THQ. Those have already been transferred. So right now, if you go to salvationarmyusa.org, you'll see that website is on Zesty. Same thing with the Southern Territory website and all the other territories. Next up is the divisions. So the divisions have a goal of transferring, I believe, by the end of August. And we're planning on transferring ours as soon as possible, a little bit before that, so we have some extra time. Local units, I believe also they're trying to push to get those started before the end of August. And then, of course, leaving room, we know it might take longer than expected. So leaving room for those. But after local units, then we'll get to programs. So that's camps, any specific programs that aren't included in cores and area commands. So the order has gone NHQ, then THQs, now divisions, and then we get to the local units.
Okay. Are the full transfer expected to be before Q1, or are we expecting to have some units or part of this transfer to be taken care of January and forward?
So far, the goal is to get everyone transferred before Q1. But I believe if we do kind of hit closer to Q1 area and they're not transferred, I'm sure we'll have those pushed a little bit further.
Got it. Vanessa, you have any other question on your super communication side?
I think I think this is more of a statement than a question. But Nick, correct me if I'm wrong. As we were looking at the new Zesty like home pages, we had some pretty cool ideas to customize it for Christmas, like the impact module at the bottom, getting stats from last year's Christmas impact reports, or stats from last year's Christmas, to customize the stats instead of being national or just annual, talking about specifically Christmas services. To make there's like at the top banner, there's two modules to the right, making those seem more Christmassy or tailoring them to Christmas services. So we were just looking at like the different parts of the homepage that we could make very Christmassy for Q1 without necessarily having to create a brand new landing page.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up is, yes, Zesty does have a little bit more limitations on how customized you can make the design on a lot of pages, just because they're trying to standardize the look and feel across the Salvation Army websites to show that we are a modern, unified, one organization, Salvation Army, that is also local. But that does not mean that we can't localize that design. We can't customize the stats that we're saying, customize the images that we're using. Not at all. We can actually have a lot of control over what our website says on that homepage, what stats we're using, what stories we're telling, and what imagery we're using to make sure that we still have that local flavor. We still have those local stats on our page. We're not losing that ability at all.
Okay, and what of the practices that we've used in the last year on digital fundraising actually is to embed classy forms into the Salvation Army website, and we've seen amazing results and benefits from that. Are we going to be able to still do that?
Yes, and I've actually talked to THQ's web team as well and made sure that that's possible. But we will be able to embed those pages. And actually, you'll notice the top right donate button is now another one of those embedded forms, and that one's a pop-up classy form. So what we'll be doing is when we build our custom landing pages, we will be using those embedded classy donation pages. So when your donor gets to your page to donate, they're not leaving your website. They're staying on your website. They can make their donation there. They can explore your programs and really get even more involved in the mission than just making a donation on Classy. So the answer to that is yes, we can.
All right, that's very useful because again, that was part of our strategy, and I was kind of worried about that. Okay, so guys, I don't know, but I feel hopeful. That this platform will help us, especially on the mobile side. I think it is very mobile friendly, and I have tested and look at it from the mobile side. And as you said, Nick, we can customize many things. There are some limitations, of course. There will be, in some new things that we need to learn, and some HTML, the knowledge that we need to undust, and now start using that. So I'm a little worried though about the local unit. What if a core officer or the lady at the core level, that she has the core keys and she does everything, bookkeeper perhaps, and she also manages the website? Can she make small changes if she doesn't know HTML?
Yes, she can. So one of the things that they've done with the Zesty transition is created what's called Zesty Mobile, I believe, or Salvation Army Mobile. Now, that's not like a mobile app. It's mobile as in it can be used on your phone, used on your desktop. But that platform is what you use to access your website. And if you're just making simple changes, hey, I want to replace this text here. Hey, I want to replace these images. That's not too hard to do because you can do it in the text-based editor. So there still is a text-based editor. The only things that you really need to know HTML for are you doing more custom designs, things like having background images behind your text in the body section. Those are the kind of things that need HTML. But if you're just changing some text here or there, maybe changing a header image, then no, that doesn't require any HTML knowledge. And one last thing, if you are worried about Symphony, if you're looking at this saying, hey, I'm a little confused, and you want to learn more about what we're doing, what our strategy is, you can go ahead and get in contact with us at glabgroup.com. Use that contact us form, and we'll get back to you, schedule a meeting, and we can just show you exactly what we're doing exactly what I'm talking about. You can ask me questions and we'd be happy to help out wherever we can.
So what did we learn today? The movement to Zesty is real. It's happening. And yes, it's going to take time, planning, and maybe a little bit of HTML. But here's the good news. You don't have to do it alone. Whether you are trying to preserve your SEO or setting up your Angel Tree pages for Q1 or just figure out where that new banner goes, our team is here to help. If you have questions, we'd love to talk. Just head out to g-labgroup.com, that's glabgroup.com, hit contact us, and let's start the conversation. Because your mission matters, your message matters, and when we get it right online, it helps people to take one step closer to hope. Until next time, keep telling your story.